Okay, today we're going to be taking a look at my Saturn collection. I've been buying Saturn games since more or less the console was released. In fact, some of these games were bought on actual release day. Some of them, like Shining in the Holy Ark right here, actually still have the receipts from the day I bought it inside. So I've been buying them and holding on to them because I love this system a lot. Lots of great games. And although they're kind of getting up there in price now, I guess people are starting to understand just how good the games are, and everybody wants them, but you can still find your domestic games for a pretty fair price. It's the imports that are kind of too expensive here. But we have some classics here, like Astal. Astal is a unique game because the spine didn't bring the logo of the game, so I had to go and find a logo in a magazine and cut it out and put it in there, so that way I'd be able to identify it on the shelf. Of course, we've got Burning Rangers. Excellent action game. Maybe not the best visuals after a decade or so, but it's kind of hard to play with a single analog stick. Definitely. Dual analog play would be awesome. Sega needs to remake this game for any console. Hell, I'll even take a Wii upgrade, but this game definitely needs to be remade. Clockwork Knight 1 and 2, great games, good platformers. Salsa de Preparacho is an awesome video. Darius Gaiden and Dark Savior. Dark Savior doesn't have the same flavor as Landstalker, but it's still a very good game. Isometric jumps are still a challenge. The original Daytona, which may not have the tracks and the visuals of the Champion Edition, or the Circuit Edition, but the gameplay is just so much better. I prefer it over the Circuit Edition. Dragon Force, excellent, excellent game. It's a shame the sequel never came to America. You can find it, and probably can't find it for that much either. The sequel, I mean, but it's in Japanese, of course, which means that you're going to have a hard time playing it. Fighters Megamix, highly, highly underrated fighting game with lots of Sega characters. Gun Griffin. We were talking about this on the Sega 16 forums a couple of days ago. This is an excellent, excellent, excellent game that can be had for peanuts, basically. Mech fans really, really need to check that one out. Oh, right next to it, of course, is the classic Guardian Heroes. Treasure at its finest on the Saturn. And then over here, being watched over by my cat. Knights, of course. Who owns a Saturn and doesn't own Knights? The Panzer Dragoon games, which I mentioned in a previous video, including Panzer Dragoon Saga. Probably one of the finest RPGs ever made. That really, really, really needs to be re-released. Power Slave, which is an absolutely incredible first-person shooter. Lobotomy did all kinds of things on the Saturn, lighting effects and things that you would never, ever, ever think the console was capable of doing. Here's what a lot of people don't have. Most people play these games in Shenmue on the Dreamcast, but the Sega Saturn version of these games in the Sega Ages is absolutely excellent. The version of Outrun here is incredible, but the other two, Afterburner and Space Harrier, benefit from the fact that they use the mission stick. And if you have a Saturn mission stick, which I just so happen to have right here, Afterburner and Space Harrier are freaking intense. Great, great, great games when you have the right way to play them. Of course, I mentioned these before, Shining Force 3. I think I'm going to be doing a hands-on article about this one for Sega 16 pretty soon, the way Sega ties this whole universe together. Well, they did until they went and ruined it on the PlayStation 2 with those horrible, horrible Shining Force games. And Holy Ark, one of my favorite RPGs of all time. Spiritual successor to Shining in the Darkness. Shinobi Legions. I'll be doing a hands-on of this one pretty soon. Got that article almost done. Digitized characters farmed out to Vic Tokai. What the hell, Sega? But Hey, it's a Shinobi, it's 2D, and it's pretty darn good. It's a shame Sega didn't give it the love and respect that it deserved, but it's not a bad game by any means. Tempest 2000. Now, this game might actually be better on the PlayStation. I had the PlayStation version, and it had some lighting effects that the Saturn version didn't have, but this one has a Red Book soundtrack, and the soundtrack in this game is awesome. And I just kind of like playing it with the Saturn pad better. Saturn pad is happiness, happiness, happiness. Three Dirty Dwarves. This was a pretty good platforming game where you got to control 3 characters. You can switch between them on the fly. Pretty good stuff. Not a very common game, it's one that you hear people talk about. I have a few imports here, not a lot. I got Assault Suit Lanos, which is the sequel to Target Earth, which is an awesome game. I mean, I absolutely love Target Earth, and this is an excellent sequel. Deep Fear, which is a survival horror game that takes place underwater. The cool thing about Deep Fear is that even though all the text is in Japanese, all the cutscenes are in English. So you can understand the story with no problem, and really there's only one section of the game that you'd need help with anyway. Some scene where you have to mix some chemicals into a bottle, and that part's in Japanese, but you can just quickly look at a fact beforehand, and you should have no problem getting through that. And then you got other games like Steam Gear Mash, which is a cute little platformer. Nothing special, but... And of course, Thunder Force 5. Well, that's my Saturn collection, basically. It's not the biggest collection in the world. I mean, there are plenty of other collections out there that are much larger than mine, and I'm not trying to get them all. These aren't my Pokemans, so I'm just getting all the good games I can get. So, I hope you enjoyed looking at my Saturn collection.